Nigeria better than Malaysia?
Let's talk about drug abuse, guys. Nigeria is a underdeveloped country. Nigeria is not developed. It's not even considered a developing country. But there's something very important about Nigeria. We'll talk about the culture and the society of Nigeria. That is what makes it very outstanding amongst other developed and developing countries like the U.S. and even Asian countries like Malaysia. Now, there's something very important about the society practices and cultures of Nigeria. Like when there is drug abuse and societal crimes and criminalities, the society always handles it very properly, very well, more than very better than other countries like Malaysia or US or UK, other Western countries. Now in US, there's a very high level of drug abuse, drug addict, and different type of things, and even sicknesses. When there's a virus or any pandemic that comes out in any of these countries, it's very hard and very difficult for them to handle it and deal with it as soon as possible because their citizens are very rebellious. Too much freedom in the country makes people very rebellious to obey the simple rules that will help the government to curb these issues. But in Nigeria, for instance, when the Ebola virus came out, I think it didn't take Nigeria 1 or 2 years for them to eradicate it, and because the citizens were very cooperative and everybody was actually handling it on their own. And even this coronavirus, it didn't last more than 1 year in Nigeria, and people were able to go around their businesses without any disruption. So, and also drug abuse. Also, you cannot easily find people doing drug abuse. Like drug abuse is like something very common in a very poor society, amongst poor people in a very poor countries also. But now you see that it's more in all these developed and developing countries than these poor countries. When a, when any type of drug abuse comes out, like in Nigeria, there was a codeine abuse, um, methamphetamine, um, cocaine, or whatever. The society always deal with it. Individuals, they don't wait for the government to come to intervene. They deal with it on their own and they eradicate it as soon as possible. That is one thing very unique about Nigeria. The culture helps the people to maintain a very good lifestyle in and not being too radical or being too disobedient to the law. Now, the government is not very functional like other developing countries, so the people are like the government of their own. Whenever there's an issue in the society, the people always come out to handle it by themselves and they deal with it very properly. Now, in other countries, when you steal, for instance, you steal money or anything from the market or anywhere, now they will have to wait for the police, call the police, wait for the police to come arrest you and all of that, and then probably if the crime wasn't much, after they arrest you 1 or 2 months, you will come out, and if that person is a hardcore thief, they will still go back to thieving. But in Nigeria, if you do that kind of thing, the people will handle you in the street. They will beat the hell out of you before the government or the police comes there, and that is actually very effective. Even though it's like you can say people are taking the laws into their hands, but it's actually proven to be more effective than the one that the law will do. So what I'm trying to say is that the society and the cultures of Nigeria is very unique. That helps it to keep their citizens and their people under control in order not to do things very too much. Like in a very two freedom countries like America, people can you see children behaving very carelessly, and no one can even talk to them or even beat the hell out of them. So that is why their people grow up to be very careless and have very arrogant characters. But in Nigeria, other people can train your children for you. If your children misbehave in the outside, misbehave in the public area, other people will train the children for you. They wouldn't wait for you to correct the children. They will say or they will beat the hell out of that child, and then they will take correction very, very seriously. But in developing countries and developed countries like Malaysia or US, you cannot talk to other people's children. You cannot tell them what to do. And if you see someone doing anything wrong, you cannot correct them. They will say you're judging them. So these are the things that have made the societies in these countries very, very careless and very, very bad, because people are free to do whatever they like without having any caution from people near them. And that is why people can easily disrespect people and get away with it, and nothing will happen. So that is one thing very unique about these. Not only Nigeria, actually, most of the African countries. That is something very unique about them, and very different with America or other Western countries or developing countries also. And that is something that they need to consider, because you see the amount of crime in America now, gone shooting people. Someone can easily get angry and take gun to school and shoot people, and nothing will happen. And you find out that this is actually, it's not about mental problem, or so, it's about the society, how those kids were brought up, and how they were trained. So they don't really value human lives. They don't have any sense of responsibility. That's why they can easily mess around in the society. So that's one unique thing, very important about Nigeria, even though it's still undeveloped. But this is a very important thing that they should be proud about. They should be proud of, apart from other evil things that people know about this country. Thank you guys for watching. Help me to share the video until I see you again, guys. Bye bye.